The question as to whether Roman Reigns has finally turned heel has now been answered. Guys, I just finished watching SmackDown 2 hours ago, and Roman Reigns has officially aligned himself with Paul Heyman. Never would I have thought I would see the day that Roman Reigns would actually have aligned himself with Paul Heyman. It is a massive change in direction for his character. I mean, just this past Sunday, we saw him decimize and destroy Braun Strowman and The Fiend after their Universal Championship match at SummerSlam. And now, and now we're seeing Roman Reigns align himself with Paul Heyman, which could only mean one thing, which could mean that he is indeed a heel. Because the moment that I knew something was odd was when he said that's not just a prediction, as he sat down, as he signed the contract that Adam Pearson gave him, as he said that he was going to win back the Universal title that he never lost, and it was not a prediction, it was a spoiler. And when I heard that promo, I just knew that that was a Paul Heyman line. And funny enough, the camera switched directly to Paul Heyman directly afterwards. It is just absolutely insane, absolutely crazy that that actually ended up being the case, that that actually ended up being what it was. Roman Reigns has aligned himself with Paul Heyman of one of two huge shocking events that took place tonight, other than the fact that Sami Zayn has finally come back after taking about 4 months off because of the situation, and to see him back was shocking, and to see him hold the IC title is shocking. Maybe they're gonna do a unification match between that, maybe with him and Jeff Hardy. Maybe they won't, since he technically never actually lost the title, since they actually forced him to relinquish the title instead, even though he was not hurt or anything, but just because he didn't want to wrestle in the circumstances. And now you see Roman Reigns align himself with Paul Heyman. You see, at first I thought that maybe he was just doing that to send a message, just to, send a message to Roman, just to send a message to Braun and to send a message to Bray. And because as he was attacking Braun, he said, "I made you." He said, "I made you," would sound like a hellish thing. He said, "I made you." Um, and if you think about their feud they had back in 2017, that kind of pretty much is the case. One of the reasons that Braun Strowman got on the map was because of his feud with Roman Reigns that lasted for so long. Back in 2017, their battles that year, and even some of the matches they had in 2018. So that really had a lot to do with it. But like I said, I didn't know for sure if Roman Reigns was actually a heel or not. I was not very sure if that was actually the case, but I think now the answer that we have all been waiting for has finally been fully answered. Because there's been many times where Roman has done heelish things before, but then the next night he'll come out and speak back as a babyface, and it was never really, you never really knew for sure if he was in that predicament. But in this case, not only because he said he was going to wreck everyone and leave, which is not just the shirt he wore at SummerSlam, but he wore the shirt again tonight on SmackDown, which goes to show that he has definitely had a change of direction. Now, what I really want to see if he's gonna if he's gonna still come out with the same theme song. I mean, because if you're gonna turn Roman Reigns heel, how about we go to the full route? How about we go as far as to changing his theme song? Because he's no longer, finally he's gotten rid of that Shield outfit he's had for so long, which in my opinion I think he should have gotten rid of a long time ago, because they've been broken up for a long time at this point, even though they had several reunions after that. I mean, it's something that he should have really stopped wearing a long time ago. So I don't think they will change his theme song, but I definitely think that for this change of direction, for him to be siding with Paul Heyman, for him to fully turn heel, this does make the perfect sense now to change his theme song. Because you already don't have him wearing the same gear that he wore as a babyface that he's wore for so long. When he first burst on the scene as a heel, this is the second heel reign of Roman Reigns. The last time he was actually a heel was when he was with the Shield way back then. And so, like I said, this is definitely going to be interesting considering Paul Heyman has been on Brock Lesnar's side for as long as he had. At one point, he did briefly manage CM Punk. He was actually managing CM Punk for a good period of time when CM Punk was a WWE champion. He also briefly managed Cesaro, but that didn't last for very long. And so he had other projects, other guys that he was working with aside from just Brock Lesnar. But Brock Lesnar has just been the longest one out of everyone. So to see him doing something refreshing, to see him working with someone like Roman Reigns, someone who needs that type of work, someone who's really good in the ring, but not so much in certain mic skill, who has improved in some of his mic skills, but some of it needs a little bit of work. This is how you get this man to really change himself. One of the things that one of the reasons that Roman Reigns' cousin The Rock became one of the biggest stars that he became was because of his change in character. He was in the same boat as Roman. The fans booed the mess out of him. The fans couldn't stand him when he played as Rocky. Over time, they couldn't stand the smiling and just him coming out and clapping and being so happy all the time. So when he changed his character and direction, that really changed his career for better. He became one of the all-time greats. Now, in Roman's case, he started off as a heel, which is quite different from The Rock. However, he turned babyface, and they kept him babyface for so long. And it was just eventually time for him to turn again, and now he's a heel once again. It is official. Roman Reigns is a heel. He has aligned himself with Paul Heyman. It is a shocking development, but it is much needed for him to have that change direction. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens adds Payback this Sunday. Who actually comes out on top? Who actually wins the match? Because there's a lot of things that's going on. You got the development of the new Wyatt family, where the Fiend could actually retain the belt because there's talk about him potentially having a new Wyatt family help him. You got this whole thing with Roman Reigns align himself with Paul Heyman. So there's just a lot of things going on here that's going to make Payback, the triple threat match, really interesting. And I'm pretty sure it's going to main event the show. I mean, Universal title match main event is SummerSlam. So I'm sure it's going to main event Payback by far. In fact, it will main event Payback because it's the only major title match that's going to take place at Payback. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to how this is going to play out. This is going to be really interesting how they play this out. Roman Reigns definitely has had a massive change in character now. And like I said, if I really wanted to push the buttons, like I said, it would be nice to see them just change his theme song too. Because for him specifically, he's just been using that theme song for so long now. I just think, to really distinguish himself, from Seth, who's the only former Shield member that's left at this point in WWE, it really makes sense to change his theme song. Because even Seth, when he became a heel, when he turned back heel, his theme song eventually changed to what it is now. So I just think that the same thing should be done with Roman. You're going to turn him heel? Well, this is the perfect time to do something with his theme song. I mean, you've definitely changed his ring attire, and now this is another opportunity you could take. So this is going to be really interesting moving forward. Really looking forward to see what they're going to do with this. Really looking forward to see how they're going to deal with this. I mean, there's talk about Brock potentially coming back and feuding with Roman, of him being a Paul Heyman guy. But the whole thing is just going to be interesting how they develop this. There was even rumors back about 2 years ago that Paul Heyman was actually going to turn on Brock and help Roman Reigns win the Universal title, and that never actually happened. So the fact to see him with Roman now, with Paul Heyman now, it's just unbelievable. So that's just all I want to say, guys. Just massive, massive moment here, and looking forward to see what happens. Like I said, aside from that, you had the epic return of Sami Zayn. So yeah, sign over for Master Flex, like rather than all right.